Welcome back to 2K Away. This week that this is being released is Thanksgiving. So, happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving.
So, I'm Payton. This is my sister Paige. We are 2,000 miles away from each other, and we talk about true crime and macabre, paranormal, all that good stuff. Um, so, because it's the week of Thanksgiving, I decided to do a Thanksgiving case. So, so to keep with theme, of course,
Absolutely.
you know. Also, it does look. I am wearing a Christmas onesie, but that is okay because I'm inside and I'm not outside flaunting it like those crazy people. So, do we have any business?
I wouldn't call it business, but I have a fun little story before we start.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Fun little spooky story.
Okay.
It's a little bit dumb, but it's what happened to me. So,
Okay.
the other night we were in the living room watching TV and I'm like damn near dozing off. So, movie gets over and Ryan puts something a YouTube video on the TV.
Mhm.
Well, it gets over and, a couple other things come up. Well, one of them was like scary door cam, like the doorbell camera things.
Oh, like the ring?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh.
So scary, like 10 most scary or
Oh, the scariest
creepy of
things caught
those.
on security cams or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a couple of creepy ones that I was like, ooh, oh
Yeah.
crap, man. Like a dude standing at the second level of somebody's house while they're downstairs watching TV and he's just like
Mhm.
standing there and like watches the TV for a little bit and then you just see him
I've seen
leave.
that. I've seen that.
Creepy. Like
Mhm.
super creepy and that's
Super
one of those things
creepy.
that's like creepy. I don't know. I shouldn't go
Cause
upstairs tonight type of
yeah,
thing.
cause the thought of being watched is, ugh.
However, one thing like legitimately like it got to me. It was just a picture, but this dude had the app on his phone where he gets the notifications if something goes in front of it, and he had like four between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. and it's those are the times that it always happens, but it was like multiple days in a row. Well, finally got a picture of what it was, and it was just this. It looks like a person, and literally she's like super close to it. I say she, the person that was narrating said he. I think it looked like a chick. She had her eyes were real big and had real dark, like makeup looking, like circled around her eyes. Looks like her hair was pulled back and she was leaning forward. So her whole face was totally in front of the camera and you can't really see her you can see her torso, but it looks like her arms are like way back because you can't really see her arms, and she's just looking into the camera, and it's like a weird angle, and I'm like, I don't like, oh no,
Ooh.
I don't like that. That scary, it's creepy. It really it got to me. I was like, I don't just stop showing it. They keep showing
If you
it.
can find it again, I want to see it.
I don't want to look for it. No, seriously,
My
I was telling
God.
somebody, and I'm like, they were like, I want to see it. I'm like, I'm not going to look it up to send you the picture because it's already seared in my brain. I don't need to look at it again. Seriously, a thing of nightmares.
I
Because
want
I
to
was
see
like,
it.
no, because I was like, if it's not some kind of apparition or ghost, because it was like super pale too, like me pale,
Oh,
but
okay.
in black and white type of deal. So super
Mm.
pale looking. I was like, so if it's not some kind of apparition of some sort, it's definitely somebody on meth and they are just as scary. So, with that being said, after that, I'm like, okay, it's time to go to bed now. I don't know that I'll sleep, but it's time for bed.
Yeah.
So, like, I tell Ryan, so will you go please let the dogs out? I'm going to pee. Please stay downstairs while I pee. Okay, let's go upstairs and go to bed now. And, the dogs go crazy. We have two dogs and a cat. The dogs like to go crazy a little bit when we go to bed, and we're those people that the dogs sleep with us. Don't hate on me. I don't care what you think. So we finally get them off the bed, and Ryan turns around, not facing me, to like play on his phone for a second, and I'm like immediately like a leech on his back. And I'm like, don't mind me. I'm just going to stay here all night. Well, the dogs finally get back up on the bed and they lay down. The cat, Ryan is spooning the cat at this point in time. And I finally get to the point where I'm drifting off. And then I hear a fucking cowbell. And I don't mean SNL, more cowbell. No. It sounded like somebody took a damn cowbell and like jingled it like a couple times, and then that was it. Then it was silence. I'm immediately. So I'm laying down immediately. I jerk my head up. I'm like, did you hear that? And he goes, that was probably the cat. I'm like, no, this is the cat. And I point to him. I'm like, that was not the cat. As I'm saying this, I hear it again. And I'm like, there it was again. Did you hear it? He's like, oh yeah, that was weird. What was it? I haven't heard it since. This was like 4 nights ago. I haven't heard it since.
Oh, Jesus, Paige.
So like, I don't have closure because I don't know what it was. I've never heard that before.
They're phantom cows.
Of all nights for me to hear that. It was when I was already freaked out. Like
I think you're just imagining things.
No. He did hear it. But he doesn't quite remember it now. He doesn't remember me freaking out because he can like hold a conversation with you when he's sleeping. It pisses me off. But
good Lord,
he definitely heard it. I've never heard that. I've heard an ice cream man truck before. They come around often-ish. It was not an ice. No. It was not the ice cream man song. Nope. It was a damn cow. Like I even went onto YouTube to confirm that that is what I heard, and I looked up the sound of a cowbell.
Oh my God.
Sure shit, it was a cowbell.
Jesus Christ, Paige. So we're gonna move on. Because you're ridiculous.
It freaked me out.
So moving on. I think the only business that I had was rest in peace, Alex Trebek. I know.
And now him and Sean Connery are together. And they can complete.
I know.
I saw somebody post something like, as soon as Alex Trebek got up to heaven, Sean Connery just goes, suck it, Trebek.
I know.
And it made me cry.
Right? I know. So there goes another wonderful person to fucking 2020. So, to really bring down the party, we're going to be talking about a Thanksgiving murder. So,
which is not funny.
No, definitely not. So, 18-year-old at the time, Seth, it's either Privacky or Privacky. It's spelled Privacky, and I've heard it pronounced both ways. So
which way are you going to be sticking with?
I think I'm going to say Privacky because Privacky sounds awkward. So I'm going to say Privacky. He was arrested on November 30th, 1998 for the day before, November 29th, for the murders of his parents, Linda and Stephen Privacky, his grandfather, John Privacky, his brother, Jedediah Privacky, and his brother's girlfriend, April Boss.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm.
So
that was my anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Talk about a family massacre.
Oh yeah. So this was in Muskegon, Michigan. November 29th, 1998. And it is said this murder is actually considered Muskegon, like Michigan, that area's worst mass murder in modern history,
Oh,
technically.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was bad. So Seth Privacky was born June 2nd, 1980. I unfortunately couldn't find much about like his early childhood, but what I do know is that he was antisocial. He was kind of a loner. He didn't have a ton of friends, and he was a troublemaker and would often like find himself in the principal's office for reasons. Who knows?
Right.
His father, Stephen, was a fifth grade teacher, and his mother, Linda, was a receptionist at a medical office. And his grandfather, John, lived nearby the family. So Jedediah and April were 19 years old. They were both studying at Muskegon Community College to become teachers. There was actually a claim, I think his mother, Linda, had told somebody or something. Apparently, at one point, in kind of like a fit of rage, he ended up breaking the dishwasher by standing on it.
Wait. Standing on the dish.
Standing
Isn't
on the
the dishwasher
dishwasher.
normally under the counter?
Maybe this one wasn't. Maybe it was a mobile one.
Oh,
Either way, he broke it by standing on it.
oh my.
Yes. So, according to Seth's testimonial letter, he claims he began experimenting with alcohol and marijuana when he was 14, and then apparently upgraded to LSD and speed by the time he was 16.
Hmm. Not good combinations, first of all,
No,
especially
especially
not to a developing brain.
no. That's going to, you know what? If you're going to do drugs, do it after your brain develops
Fully.
fully, and that's around like 25. So wait till your mid 20s to start doing drugs, kids. This is a terrible message,
That's probably
but
not a good idea.
just yeah, just stay away from it when you're young like that. So he claims that he was coming down from from LSD when he committed the murders, but
Mm.
there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence. I don't even think they drug tested him. And if they did, I don't think they found anything, but the investigators like they were like, we don't think that's correct.
Ugh.
So also in his letter, he claims to have started selling drugs to support himself in his habit. He played bass in a rock band and was promiscuous throughout high school, this is according to his confession letter. So months
Oh,
before the incident, yeah. So
that was his?
that's
He
what
said that about himself?
yeah. So whatever. So months before the incident, Seth was caught shoplifting and was court ordered to start taking Wellbutrin, which is an antidepressant. So he was court ordered to start taking antidepressants,
Wow.
and he may or may not have been taking them at the time of the murders.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of theories because as to like why he did it, and one of them was like, oh, maybe he was off his meds and that's why he did it. So
Which that happens
yeah,
in a
like
lot of
oh yeah,
cases.
because like I have several different theories. So according to Seth, the relationship between him and especially his father was a rough one, kind of always. So he said his father, quote, never had anything positive to say to him. And he believed his brother and his mom eventually turned against him as well. They got into fights often, and according to Seth's friend, Stephen Wallace, who will come back into the story, he said that fights between Seth and his father were common, and they usually ended up with Seth crying and leaving, calling friends, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So apparently, it came out that Seth's father had once described him as being a psychopath without a conscience. And
Oh.
Linda, his mother, even claimed that he was out of control. Which,
Not a good thing that you want your parents to describe you as.
no.
And
And if this is what they really thought, I'm not trying to victim blame, but why did they not get him help?
well, sometimes that's
Especially,
hard. However, to have the to be able to describe your son that way, though, that's the other thing. Like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah.
there's something going on there. Something.
Yeah. So on Sunday, November 29th, 1998, was the day that the family decided to gather for a belated Thanksgiving celebration. I don't really know why they decided to wait a few days, but they had a belated celebration. So around noon, according to Seth, he got into another like disagreement or fight with his father, but this time was different. He said that Stephen, his father, said that he didn't love him anymore and that he wanted Seth to move out because the last 6 months prior to that, apparently Seth's behavior was like out of control. That's when he was caught stealing and
Mm-hmm.
had to be prescribed antidepressants, all that jazz. So, according to Seth in his confession, he said that while his father was telling him this, his mom and his brother apparently just kind of sat there and let it happen. So he
Mm-hmm.
felt like
Ganged
really
up on,
yeah, attacked. Basically, he's like, so my dad's telling me that he wants me to get out of the house and they're not.
and nobody's defending me.
Yeah. So he felt I'm not saying that that's justified for what he did, but
No.
so he felt kind of attacked and like there was no one in his corner.
Mm-hmm.
So around 12:30, so the timeline here, I do have a general timeline, but as far as like a couple different sources said, it's a little muddied. So I'm gonna give kind of like a general time. So around 12:30, Seth, this is after the fight with his father. Seth goes upstairs to his father's closet and grabs his 22 caliber pistol. He loads it and then hides it behind his back and goes downstairs.
Ooh.
So, while that is happening, Seth's mom, Linda, gets in the shower and they're getting ready to prepare for Thanksgiving after that. So,
Oh man, that
yeah.
must be rough. Awkward
So,
Thanksgiving.
yeah. So, his father, Stephen, leaves the house to go pick up his grandfather, John. And again, he lived nearby. So while his mom's in the shower, he takes the gun and goes downstairs where his brother Jedediah is sitting on the couch watching TV. Seth pulls out the gun and shoots Jed point blank in the back of the head and kills him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then he drags Jedediah's body down the basement so no one would see it. That was
How
his
did nobody? It was
reasoning.
nobody else home at the. Okay, mom was in the shower.
Mom was in the shower. So it's a 22. So it doesn't make a
I
ton of
mean,
noise because a 22 caliber pistol, for anyone that doesn't know much about guns, is it's a small caliber weapon.
yeah, but
So
still, it still makes a pop. It still makes a
it
loud
does make a
pop.
pop, but I mean, maybe if she heard it, maybe she thought it was something on the TV, maybe a
Oh
firework.
gosh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Dad was
So
not there, so girlfriend wasn't there either. Then, right?
not yet.
So
So
there'd have to be blood, though. Well,
yes. But so Stephen and John return to the home. Seth is waiting for Stephen inside. He apparently didn't know his grandpa would be joining them for dinner.
hmm.
So I guess as Stephen and John were entering the home, Seth acted like he was walking out of the door. And if you hear a cat, that's Paige's cat.
Gosh, he's so loud.
It's fine. So as John and Stephen are walking into the home, Seth acts like he's leaving the house. So they enter the home. Also, if you hear sirens, that's on my end. I'm sorry if you hear it. So as they're entering the home, Seth acts like he's leaving. Once they're inside, he turns around and shoots both of them point blank in the back of the head as well.
Oh my gosh.
He ended up shooting his grandfather John a second time because, as Seth said, he wasn't dead yet.
Oh. Oh my gosh. How, I mean, your grandfather. Well, I mean, you already killed your brother and your dad, but how can you do that? I mean,
Yeah.
that is just beyond my comprehension
Hmm.
how anybody's able to do something like that.
Then he went upstairs where his mom had just gotten out of the shower and then shot her in the back of the head.
Wow.
Hmm.
It's something to be
So,
said though too. He's shooting everybody in the back of the head.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Hmm. So then, as he's heading back down the stairs after shooting his mom, this was around 1:20 p.m. Estimated. April Boss, which was Jedediah's girlfriend, she walks through the door before Seth could stop her. He also didn't know that she was joining them for Thanksgiving.
Oh gosh.
So she sees Stephen and John laying on the living room floor, and Seth said she thought it might have been like a weird joke. Like I don't know if she I don't know if she saw the blood right away, but I think it
That's
was kind
probably
of she
like a
walked
shock
in.
thing.
Yeah, she kind of like walked in. It was like she walked in, she kind of like saw them, and not much time went by, and then Seth shot her in the back of the head.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess it would be easier because first of all, you get them
Well,
um
he surprised all of them.
by surprise.
Yeah,
Right, you get them all by surprise in the back of the head.
yeah, none
That
of
and you don't
them.
have to face them
Yeah,
as
none
you're
of them
shooting them.
knew. None of them knew that it was coming.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So around maybe 40 to 45 minutes later, according to Seth's confession, he says um he called his friend Stephen Wallace, that I mentioned before.
Hmm.
So according to Seth's confession, he says he told Stephen that he killed his family and he needed help cleaning up. And with a lot of
Imagine getting that phone call.
yeah, but with a lot of he again, this is according to Seth. He said that with a lot of convincing and probably some manipulation, if this is the correct way it went down, Stephen went over about half an hour later. According to Stephen, however, he says that on the day Seth called him around 1 p.m. So if that's the correct time, then at that point,
He hadn't killed the girlfriend, right?
no, I think at that point, again, if that's the correct time, then he would have just shot Jedediah.
Mm.
If that's the correct time. So again, I don't really know, but apparently he called him around this time just to kind of like chat. Again, I don't know. And then he says that the second call he got was after, he said around like 2:30, 2 or 2:30 or something of that nature,
Mm.
which I mean, for time's sake, I think would have been after the murders, like
Right.
all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently he told Stephen that he made a big mistake and he didn't specify what the mistake was. And when Stephen asked him what happened, he just simply said, "Come over."
Uh,
That's according to Stephen. So either way, who's ever, because I read Stephen's kind of testimony and then I read Seth's confession. So between the two of them, there are like slightly differing things like that. But either way, I'm just gonna tell of like the events,
right.
no matter how who said how it happened.
That's actually, I mean, it's frustrating that their stories don't match up, but it's
It's
also not a bad thing that their stories don't match up perfectly because then that's a rehearsal type of thing and you didn't and then you never find out what happened.
well, and that's the thing too, is just it's gonna be different in both of their heads
Mm-hmm.
because Seth was clearly not in his right mind.
No,
So
you can't be if you do that.
no, absolutely not. So I'm just going to tell you the roundabout facts instead of going into like detail as to what they said or not.
Mm-hmm.
So not exactly sure when, So I don't know if it was a couple days before. I don't know if it was a couple months before. I don't know. But like I said, in that 6-month period of time before the incident, Seth was kind of like really going downhill, and the fights with his dad were kind of getting worse.
Yeah.
So, again, not sure when, but prior to the murders, Seth confided in his friend Steven. And in quotes, this is according to Steven. He just simply said his problems would be solved if his parents were dead, dot, 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 and he would kill them. Which is, he said, he testified this, and he said that he didn't take the statement seriously.
Mm.
And then again, in quotes, I thought it was nothing outside the typical relationship of teenage kids with their parents. That being said, I hope somebody kept an eye on Steven's parents after this. Because
Yeah.
if he thinks that that's normal, which also I'll show you a picture of Steven. He looks kind of sketchy too. Not to yeah, so he just you know,
Don't ever leave those types of conversations and just do
no.
nothing. Be like, okay, listen, buddy.
Yeah,
What are we
like
doing
we
here?
we're gonna have a we're gonna take a
Wait,
seat and we're gonna have a
you're going through some things. Let's talk about it here.
yeah, let me call the cops. So so Steven eventually arrives at the Privacky home. Seth is out yeah, so Seth is outside smoking a cigarette and crying. So whether Seth told him on the phone or not, either way, Steven did show up at the house. Seth is outside smoking a cigarette and crying, which was not a cause for concern because Steven said that that was the typical situation after Seth had gotten into fights with his father. So when he pulled up and saw Seth outside smoking and crying, there wasn't much cause for concern right then and there. So
Ooh.
Seth told him and I guess begged him to help him clean it up.
Oh my gosh.
So Stephen was shocked, of course.
As you would be.
Yeah, and Seth convinced him to drive to a nearby store to buy garbage bags.
Oh
So
no.
Stephen went, he bought garbage bags. So he got back. Um, through Stephen's word, he decided to go into the house even though Seth advised him not to. Um, he kind of he said that he was like it was just something that was so unbelievable that I had to see it for myself.
Oh, but that you see, you don't need to see that for yourself because then
Yes.
you're ruined for life.
Yeah, and it's like
There's,
either way, if a friend tells you that they killed their whole family in the home, like I would take them seriously
I
cuz that's
mean,
not a normal thing that you tell your friend.
no, no,
Yeah, I'd be like
that's.
okay, okay buddy, I'm going to go get trash bags and but I'm really calling the cops.
I'll be right back.
Right,
Never.
exactly. So, once inside the dining room, Stephen tripped over a body.
Oh no.
Yeah. So after that happened and realized that he sees John and Steven's bodies on the floor, he ran to the
Oh.
basement where he found Jedediah, and
Why
then
would you run to the basement though?
Seth told him.
Oh, okay.
Seth
Okay.
told him that he killed him, and I think the locations, and then he ran upstairs to where Linda was. As he was walking down the stairs after seeing Linda, he passed out,
Oh, poor kid.
and the next thing he remembers is Seth shaking him awake.
Holy crap,
So,
man.
yeah, so he was scared because he was like, because he saw April as well, and Seth said that I shot April because she saw the bodies. So it's like, of course, Seth was a
I'm
little like,
next.
okay, well, I just saw all of them,
Right.
so um, he was scared. So they both wrapped the bodies up in sheets with the intention of burying them later. So Seth asked Steven to dispose of the gun, and Steven claims that he threw the 22 into a nearby lake. I'm not sure if the gun was recovered or not. I couldn't really find anything because
Yeah, regardless, don't touch the murder weapon. Don't you dare touch the
but
murder weapon.
they were 18.
I know.
They were
Ah,
18 and it was 1998.
oh my
So,
gosh.
you know, like I said, I don't know if the gun was ever found or if they actually like tried to search the lake or if he even did throw it in a lake.
Right.
I don't know. Because I
Kind of like
even,
Mr. Novak. Oh, it pissed me off, so I threw it in the creek.
right. So, because I even went to the Muskegon Sheriff County website. I
Oh,
I like went to all this stuff, but unfortunately, like, this is an older case now, and it's not like
yeah.
nationwide known. So unfortunately, like, there's not like a ton of stuff. It's a lot of local information, kind of like the Serquinic murders, you
Well,
know.
and if it was me, if you tried to contact, what I do with those people, and you said, yeah, I'd like to talk about a 1998 murder case, I'd be like, well, it's going to take me a second because got to go to the basement to grab the file because it's not scanned in. It's
Right, exactly.
going to take me
So
a second.
yeah, so unfortunately, like, what I was able to find is kind of, some things are up for like interpretation of like, oh, did they find this? I'm not really sure. So he disposes of the gun, and then Stephen goes home and ends up attending a church youth group party that evening.
Oh,
Yeah. So again, not quite sure how it happens, but he does end up going back to the Privacky home around 11 p.m. So there was, again, claims that Seth called him, or like Seth showed up at his house. I don't know, but either way, Stephen ended up going back to the house.
oh, how can you go back to that house?
I don't know, and I don't know, and
Where are the
I
bodies at this point? Are they
still
still at the
still in the
house?
house, still in the house.
Oh,
Yeah. So
how can you do that? I mean, come
mhm.
on.
so to help, he goes back to the house around 11 p.m. to help Seth, um, and again with the intention that they were going to bury the bodies. I don't know what kind of story Seth would have made up. I don't know. That was just the first thing that he thought of. So
Sure.
they realized that the body, they said, well, Seth said the bodies were too heavy to move around, which Seth was 6'4".
Holy crap.
So he was a big guy, and he was kind of, I mean, he was tall and kind of lanky, but it's like,
Yeah, but some of the biggest people
and I
sometimes
understand like dead weight is
literal dead weight
dead weight.
is
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And they're and it's long and awkward and well yeah,
yeah.
it'd be difficult.
So, they decided the bodies were too heavy. So they decided to try and simulate a robbery like gone wrong. So to try to do
Teenagers
this, yes.
doing this.
So to try to do this, they put the bloody sheets that they had wrapped the bodies in, they put them in the garbage bags and just left the bodies where they were. They put the garbage bags full of the bloody sheets in the trunk of the car with the intention to burn them later.
Mhm.
So, as they had plans to put the TV VCR, and
VCR.
yeah, so they were planning on putting the TV, VCR, and a stereo in the trunk of the car as well. But as they were, doing that, they heard a car pull up the driveway.
Oh shit.
So Seth shut the trunk, they ran inside, and then ran out of like a side door in the back,
Mhm.
and stopped at, there's a back door in the garage with like a window through it. So they
Mhm.
stopped there to see who it was. Seth thought it was a cop, so they both made a run for it and hid in the woods. So it wasn't a cop, it was actually Tom and Julie Cooper, April Boss's parents.
Oh my gosh.
So they got concerned because at this point it's almost 12 hours later that their daughter
Mm.
has went over to her boyfriend's house for Thanksgiving, and apparently she never showed up to her job. I guess she had to work that evening and she never showed up. So they showed up to the house because they also hadn't heard from her, obviously. So they call the police immediately because I believe either John or Steven's body, Steven the father, was, I think, one or both of them was in the garage, and I think the door was open, or in the driveway somewhere.
Oh
Either
wow.
either way, like, because they had made, I mean, they got the bodies close to the car, but they were like, oh gosh, this is too heavy, and then they gave up. So that's why they tried to make it look like a robbery gone wrong and just left the bodies where they were.
Good lord.
So they call the cops immediately. So they apprehended Steven pretty quick, but Seth managed to escape. Like he like dove into a ditch and they ended up not seeing him.
Mm,
So Steven was charged. So eventually Steven's charges got dropped to accessory to murder
hmm.
and he was later acquitted. But
Well,
Steven's not exactly a I don't want to say he's a good guy cuz he's had many charges since then. Like
well,
he's had
I can.
domestic charges. I think he's had aggravated assault, like that sort of thing.
Well, so
So,
yeah, so he's turned into yeah. I mean, I can see the accessory to murder. I can see that not sticking. It doesn't sound like something I would have thought to charge him with,
well,
because I'm an attorney.
it was because he
But
disposed of the murder weapon, which is why he was ultimately charged with it. But again,
see, even that.
he was acquitted and charges were dropped. So Seth, or excuse me, Stephen, his charges were eventually dropped and he was acquitted to being involved in the murder because either way, I don't think Stephen had anything to do with this. And in the grand scheme of thing, I don't think Stephen had anything to do with this. I think he was just as blindsided as everybody else. And he's a teenager and hey, my friend's in trouble, so I tried to help him.
Right.
Essentially, I think that's so I think he just got caught up in it,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
And I mean, it was a huge shock factor, obviously. And you don't know what the hell to do. You're 18 years old. There's no
Exactly.
adults around because they're all dead,
Exactly. But yeah.
So I
Exactly. So I
mean,
mean, I like I said, I don't Stephen had nothing to do with it. It just it's an unfortunate circumstance that he was put in.
wow.
So, yeah. So Seth hides in the woods the rest of the night. He said he kept hearing dogs coming after him, so he ran as much as he could, and he was talking about where all he like thought he was running to. So he ended up getting tired and slept a good portion of the night under a pine tree. So in the morning, around 7 a.m., a schoolmate of Seth and Stevens, a girl by the name of Genevieve Simonelli, saw Seth hitchhiking and she ended up picking him up. I don't know if she already knew about the murders or if she found out after she dropped him off.
Mm,
Either way, though, he asked to be taken to another friend's house named Jason Pitts. She after she dropped him off, she immediately called the police because she's like,
good for
"Oh my
her.
god, yeah, oh my god, that's Seth." So
Good for her.
Jason Pitts was thankfully not home. Nobody was home. So Seth hid in a pole barn on the property with, he said, the intention of committing suicide. And
Hmm.
I read in sources that he said he was like thinking about it and he ended up not being able to, or something of that nature.
Right.
Either way, the police apprehended him not long after he arrived to the Pitts home.
So they did find him there.
Yeah, they found him in the pole barn. So he gave his confession the next day, November 30th, 1998. He confessed right away to Detective Sergeant Dennis Edwards of the Muskegon County Sheriff's Department. Dennis Edwards said that like during his confession, he and you can see it in his pictures. He has like a nobody's home kind
Mm,
of expression, and that's
yeah.
kind of that's how his confession was. That it was like a kind of emotionless again, like a nobody's home because this kid's kind of a sociopath, like,
Wow.
or maybe not sociopath, maybe psychopath describes him a little bit better because he obviously doesn't feel empathy super well.
Right.
So Edwards asked him after his confession if there was anything else he would like to say about it and how he felt. So Seth says, and I quote, "I feel awful. I wish I'd never done it. It was all a mistake. I'd take it back 1,000 times. When I ran, it wasn't to get away. In a way, it was to get away so I could kill myself because I couldn't live with myself for doing this to my family." So then, in his in the confession, Edwards asked him if he stole or bought ammunition. Like
Hmm.
right after he says this, and both times Seth was like, "No, no." And then Edwards goes, Why did you go to Myers to get ammunition? So there is security footage of Seth going into a Myers to buy ammunition, and I think he got denied or something before the murders happened.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know. So I looked. I have the picture. So the timestamp on the security footage, and I don't know how accurate this is, but it says 23/19/06, and it's a 24-hour clock. So if that's correct, because I heard that he went there hours before the murders, like that morning. But if this timestamp on the security footage is correct,
That's damn
23/19/06,
near
that's
midnight.
almost, yeah, that's like right after 11 p.m. the night before.
Yeah.
So I don't know how accurate this time is. I I don't know. I truly I don't know when he went to try and buy ammunition. Either way, this was not spur of the moment. If it was the night
No.
before or if it was that morning. And again, I'm not quite sure on the timeline of the day of as to when the fight happened, but I read that it was somewhere around noon that his father told him that he wanted him to move out. So I don't know if it was actually noon or maybe it was earlier in the day. I don't know. Either way, Seth planned this.
Oh, yeah. I
There's
mean,
no
first of
no
all, if
doubt.
he had already told his friend that he wanted his parents dead, basically, and that he would do it, first of all. Second of all, he's looking to buy some ammunition, and that was his dad's gun, correct?
It was his dad's gun that he ended up grabbing the day of the murders. So
Okay.
his response to Dennis Edwards asking him, "Why did you go to Myers to get ammunition?" He responded with, "Because I planned on going small game hunting on Sunday. I never thought about killing my parents until that morning." And then that was the end of his confession.
Okay.
First, I also find that wording very weird. I plan to go small game hunting. I know I know plenty of hunters and they don't say small game hunting. They're usually like, "Oh,
No.
I'm going squirrel hunting."
Right.
It's
Well,
a weird wording. And again, he this was not spur of the moment. It wasn't. It was he planned this and
mhm.
then conveniently it was at it reached a fever pitch and
Uh-huh.
then he just blew over.
Right.
That's what
And
happened.
you
The,
know,
like the straw that broke the camel's back was his father saying that he wanted him to move out, and then
yep,
like today's the day,
today's the day.
and he went
Because
through with
here's the
it.
thing, he said, plan on going small game hunting. This takes me back to our Sequinnet case because what did the state's attorney say in his um, final speech at the end, his closing arguments?
What do you
What do
hunt
you hunt
with
with
a
the
pistol?
22? People.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So again, maybe he didn't plan on it that day. Maybe he had been thinking about it, but that day
But
was the final straw.
but he had been thinking about
He
it.
had been thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
It was never like a, "Oh my god, I did this in such a rage." No, no, no. This idea had been in his head for a while,
Mhm.
and that was the final thing that made him act on that thought.
Cuz it wasn't
And
like he
and
had
I think the Grandpa John and April the girlfriend was just collateral damage. They were
yeah.
there, they witnessed it, they had to go as well.
Yeah.
The only thing that kind of the thing that like I still question, of course, we're never going to know the real reason why. We're never going to
Right.
know anything because, years later they still asked why. But I still have more to go.
Oh.
So, the thing that I find curious is the order of the people that he killed.
Yeah,
So,
if his beef was with his
he
dad, he killed his
exactly.
brother
So,
first.
I find it very weird that he killed his brother first and then went for his father and then the mom. So the how, I think the reason that not only was it convenience that he did that, because if you think about it, if he did that in any other order, somebody would have seen or stopped him.
I actually was gonna say too, like that couldn't have worked out any better for him.
Right,
It
exactly. So,
literally couldn't have. I mean, his mom was in the shower, dad was gone, brother's sitting there on the couch. All right, you're the first to go.
yeah.
Crap.
So,
Dad's coming in.
I
Let's get
think
him.
yeah, so I know the main beef was definitely with his father Stephen,
Mhm.
and I think the only reason why I think that maybe he went for Jedediah first was either opportunity or the fact that like you're my brother, like kind of that like blood bond between a sibling of we're supposed to protect each other and you didn't protect me today, so you have to
Yeah.
go first.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my head's at as to like the order as to why he decided to do it like that. But again, you're right as to how it couldn't have worked out better in his favor,
Yeah.
the events that happened. So Seth was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on May 27th, 1999. So
Good.
another thing that I found really interesting was he committed these murders in November and he was sentenced in May, and that's really quick.
That's really quick.
Yeah. So I found
Well,
that pretty interesting.
was there a jury trial? Because if there was a jury trial,
I believe so. I believe it
oh,
was. Like
then
like I
that
said,
was really quick.
yeah. So like I said, like I tried to find more about the sentencing and everything. I think there was a small jury trial, and there's pictures of him during his like sentence hearing and everything, and he just when he says like his apology, he's like, I'm sorry about what I did. Like it's very dead sounding.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure which correctional facility that he went to first, but in 2007, he was eventually transferred to Kinross, I think, correctional facility in Kinchelo, in Michigan. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry.
How's it
It's
spelled?
Kinchloe.
That's a doozy.
Kinchelo? Yeah, Kinchelo, maybe? I'm not sure. Um, if anybody knows, please correct me, but don't be an asshole about it, because otherwise I won't care. So, in prison, he found God, like they always do.
Yep.
He had a lot of religious visitors that like a lot of pastors and stuff that would be like, oh,
Right. Try to help him.
really, he really feels sorrow for what he did,
Hmm.
you know. And a lot of people wrote to him. Like he had a pen pal. He wrote to a woman in California and like told her about like different bands that he listens to or likes, stuff that he does in prison, that sort of
Hmm.
thing. So
Interesting.
it's kind of again, he kind of became one of those people where like Charles Manson and Ted Bundy, where people were fascinated by him and they had that like morbid curiosity of being like weirdly attracted to him
Right.
because people are fucking
Messed up.
weird, and they would write to him and stuff like that. It was kind of one of those situations.
Hmm.
So on July 15th, 2010, there was an escape attempt.
Oh crap.
Yes, so just after 9 a.m., Seth and two other inmates, Brian Davidson and Andrew Ross, overpowered a man driving a tractor trailer at the prison. So they got in it, they stole it. They ended up crashing the truck through a double chain link fence with the razor wire at the top. They crashed through the fence. They drove the truck for about 100 yards, and then they jumped out and just started like booking it. They just started running. So I'm like, I don't know why you
Why
jumped out
would
of the
you
trailer
jump
truck.
out of the truck?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That. Wow.
So while they were running, the corrections officers warned them to stop, stop. I basically like warned them that we'll shoot if you don't stop.
Right.
After showing no intention to stop, a correctional officer opened fire, and in a sick, twisted kind of justice, shot Seth in the head and killed him.
Oh my.
The other two prisoners surrendered immediately after. And
Wow.
I think since then they've both been because this Kinrose, excuse me, Kinrose Correctional Facility is kind of like a medium security
Okay.
prison, like a minimum to medium. And
Right.
then after this incident, the
Is
other two
spicy.
prisoners, you're fucked. Anyway, the other two
I'm
prisoners
sorry.
after this after this attempt was they were both transferred to maximum security facilities, and I think they actually were both in for murder as well. I don't remember their charges off the top of my head.
Birds of a
Or
feather.
yeah, or domestic things, that sort of thing. So after this happened, I did read something about a statement that April Boss's sister made after this escape, because they asked her
Attempted
like,
escape.
yeah, attempted. They asked her like how she felt about it, like does it give her some sort of closure, that sort of thing, and she kind of simply was like, this doesn't change anything. A monster is a monster, and
Yeah.
she was like, it's not that I feel better that he died in the same way. I do find it rather funny that he died in
Yeah.
the same way that he killed my sister, but this doesn't change anything, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't bring her back.
No, it doesn't. So,
Gosh.
that was the Privacky killings in Muskegon, Michigan of 1998.
So he was what, 30
Yeah,
when he died? Yeah, 30.
he's
So
30.
he's born in 1980, died in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, and
That's
I've
rough.
got pictures too.
Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah,
share some pictures of his dead stare.
yeah, and he definitely he looks like it. This is gonna sound kind of fucked, but I've definitely met those people where you're like, there's not much going on
Oh, I think
behind the
everybody's
eyes.
met met that type of person.
Yeah, and especially or like growing up and meeting somebody, like I've met that person too growing up.
Yeah.
So it's scary to think about. And I mean, Muskegon is, I mean, it's not small like we know small. I think it has about like 30,000 people.
Right.
So still not too terribly small, but it's not big by any means.
Mm-mm.
So people knew that this happened.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. So, well, that was our Thanksgiving episode. Thank you for
so
joining us.
so happy Thanksgiving in a couple
Yeah.
days.
So happy Thanksgiving. And I know Thanksgiving is not exactly fun for everybody, but wherever you decide to spend it and whoever you decide to spend Thanksgiving with, I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. And if
I know it could look a little different this year for some
yeah,
people.
yeah. So
We
yeah,
understand that.
Thanksgiving is definitely going to be a lot different for people this year. And if you're taking antidepressants, please continue taking them. So
That's not something that you should skip out on every once in a while.
yeah, please
It's
don't do
definitely
that.
something that needs to be on a regular schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one of the theories, is that maybe he was off his antidepressants and this is kind of the result of that. I don't maybe he was, but I don't think that was the factor.
I don't think that was the deciding factor. Do I
No.
think it could have helped it along? Sure. Especially if he was supposed to be, like I said, if he was supposed to be on this schedule of it could have helped it along. But I think he was already wanting to do that.
I think he was already there, he just needed that final push.
Right.
So yeah, so that's
Goodness.
Seth Privacky.
Goodness.
We okay? We need a deep breath.
Since you love how I do that in the
Ugh.
microphone.
By the way, that was really gross to look at. Ugh. Alrighty. So, thank you for joining us this week. And again, we hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving, no matter what kind of Thanksgiving that you have. If you
Yes.
want to stay updated with the podcast, feel free to follow us at Facebook at
2K away.
and on Instagram at 2K Away Podcast. And we also do have a YouTube channel with our visuals on there at it's 2K Away Podcast.
So you can see our beautiful, beautiful faces.
Yes, our beautiful faces.
Finger
Alrighty.
quotes, beautiful.
Yeah, that's a big finger quotes. So, anyway, so we love you all, and we will see you all next week.
Next week for the page episode.
Yes, yes. Alrighty, and bye bye.
Bye.